In a quiet town nestled between hills and rivers, there lived a man named Arav Mehta. From the outside, his life seemed ordinary, just another face in the crowd. But within him lived a burning desire to rise, to be more than the life he was handed. He wasn't born to a rich family, nor did he have an elite education. His father was a schoolteacher, and his mother sold homemade pickles from their tiny kitchen. They were humble, hard-working people. But for Arav, even as a child, something inside whispered that he was meant to achieve something greater, something that would make his name known not for fame, but for purpose. Arav struggled through school, not because he wasn't intelligent, but because his family couldn't afford tutors, extra books, or even a proper desk. He would study under the street lamp outside his home, often chased away by mosquitoes or the occasional barking dog. Yet, he never complained. He simply adjusted, wiped the sweat off his brow, and kept reading. His dream was to become an engineer, not for status, but to create machines that could help farmers like his uncle, who lost everything during a bad monsoon. When he turned 18, he applied for the top engineering colleges in India. But despite scoring well in the entrance exams, he couldn't secure admission. His interviews were weak, his English was broken, and his confidence shattered in front of judges who barely looked up from their papers. That day, when he returned home, his father said something simple, yet powerful. "Falling doesn't mean failure, son. It just means you haven't found the right way yet." Inspired, Arav didn't stop. He enrolled in a local polytechnic college. It didn't have a big name or fancy buildings, but it had teachers who believed in effort. He studied with everything he had: mornings, nights, festivals, holidays. While his classmates partied, he spent his evenings building small machines from junk parts he collected from scrapyards. After graduation, Arav applied to over 120 companies for a job. He was rejected by almost every single one. Some never replied. Some told him he wasn't from a top-tier college. Others said his communication skills weren't industry-ready. For weeks, he spiraled into self-doubt. He'd sit in his room staring at the ceiling, wondering if the world had space for someone like him. But then one day, while walking past a mechanic shop, he noticed a farmer arguing with the shop owner about the cost of a broken irrigation motor. The farmer looked helpless, just like Arav's uncle years ago. That moment sparked something inside him. That night, Arav started drawing. He remembered his old notes, designs, the small models he'd built in college. He began building a low-cost, solar-powered water pump for small farmers. It took him months. He failed more times than he could count. But each time something broke, he fixed it. Each time a test failed, he learned. He watched YouTube tutorials, emailed professors for advice, and even sold his old scooter to buy parts. Finally, after nearly 8 months, the prototype worked. It was simple, cheap, and could be assembled with basic tools. He took it to the same farmer he had seen that day. The man cried when the pump worked. "No one ever thinks about us," he said, wiping his tears. "But you did." That first success turned into 10, then 50. Arav began building more pumps and giving demos in nearby villages. Word spread. Local newspapers covered his story. Then came an NGO that offered to fund his work. Within 2 years, Arav had helped over 1,500 farmers across 3 states. He didn't just build machines. He built hope. But life still tested him. His small workshop was destroyed in a flood one year. A shipment of his pumps was stolen. A man he trusted cheated him out of thousands. Each time he felt like giving up. "What's the point?" he'd whisper at night. But then he'd remember the look in that farmer's eyes. And his father's voice. Falling doesn't mean failure. So he rose again. He rebuilt. He hired trustworthy workers. He trained young engineers from rural areas, giving them jobs and purpose. Slowly, Arav turned his small idea into a full-fledged social enterprise. His work won national awards. He was invited to speak at engineering colleges, the very kinds of institutions that had once rejected him. One day, during a seminar, a student asked him, "Sir, what if I fail? What if the world says I'm not good enough?" Arav smiled. "The world told me the same, again and again. But you know what? The world doesn't get to decide your worth. You do. If you're willing to keep walking even when your legs are tired, if you keep building even when everyone laughs at your bricks, then you will succeed. Not because you were the smartest, but because you refused to quit. Now in his 30s, Ariv lives simply. He doesn't wear suits or sit in air-conditioned offices. He still visits farms, tools in hand, sleeves rolled up. His company runs on one principle: solutions for the forgotten. And though the world knows him as an innovator and changemaker, he still sees himself as that boy under a street lamp, scribbling notes on a torn notebook. Moral of the story asterisk. We often measure success by where we end up, not by what we overcome. But true success is built on persistence, humility, and the courage to get up one more time when life knocks you down. Ariv had every reason to quit, but he chose to fight, with grit instead of money, passion instead of privilege. You don't need perfect conditions to grow. You just need to keep moving, keep building, and never,